Good morning, everybody. Happy Hump Day. It's March 12th, 2025. I'm Dave Neal, and I have all of your stories for your rush hour ride to work. And a busy one we have for you today. On this episode, we've got Southwest CEO speaking up after the backlash following their announcement that they're axing the free checked bags. And then Scandival's 2-year anniversary, what Tom Sandoval has to say. 2 years flies by, doesn't it? And speaking of villains from the Bravo world, we got Jax Taylor, a trailer for the upcoming season of The Valley, where he gets served divorce papers. I'll be quite honest with you. I'll be watching that. And then we've got the New York Times tea. Yes, that's right. New tea from the New York Times, always delivering, quenching our thirst in the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni universe. As some good Samaritans have looked into the archives of the internet, because you can't delete anything unless you're Doge. But then you can, in the archives, they found different subheadings written by the New York Times. What does this mean? We're going to listen to a TikTok from a crisis PR expert. And then we've got some updates on the old tariffs, tariff talk, as a Canadian leader is now pausing the tariffs on some American states. There's a 25% tariff on electricity that has been paused. So we'll have that. Also, is this the death of the Department of Education? Give you all those updates and more happening right now on The Rush. All right, before we get into the serious topics of the day, let's talk about some good stuff, the wildlife news of the day. I guess I'm a wildlife news channel. The other day I reported about the mice that learned how to drive, and now we have not 2, but 3 eaglets have emerged from the nest in the San Bernardino Mountains this past week.
And now there are 3. Tonight, make it 3. 3 baby eaglets for those 2 parents. We first reported on that family of bald eagles in Southern California's San Bernardino Mountains last week. So many across the country watching their nest live online.
And look, I think it's great they've got a live cam, and that's all fun, but there's like billions of birds out there. Is this a big deal? I mean, they're kind of like the apex predators of the bird world, right? Shouldn't they be having a lot of kids? I mean, I'll be impressed if these eaglets learn how to drive their cars to the Fruit Loop tree. If you don't know that story, there's a bunch of rats that have learned how to drive cars. I've raised my standard of what impresses me. So get back to me when you become a Postmates driver. All right. Well, you guys have spoken following the Southwest Airlines news that they're going to be ditching the free bags. And I'm going to share some thoughts from angry customers about why they may no longer fly Southwest. And then I'm going to share what the CEO has to say.
Rather have the free check bags, that's for sure, because that's mainly one reason why I still fly Southwest.
Southwest Airlines is scrapping its long-standing policy of free checked bags, a move executives once said set the budget airline apart from competitors.
That's going to make it hard for people that live on a budget. I just become a widow this year.
Jeez, oh my gosh, you really made it sad. So she says for $10 it'll be a lot. We don't even know what they're going to charge. I thought it was going to be the standard $30 to $40. That's kind of what they normally charge per bag, right? That money adds up. I mean, do you know how many fights I've been in with my wife because I wanted to only get one checked bag, and next thing you know, we're going on vacation and she wants to pack all these winter jackets even though we're going to like some Caribbean location. I'm like, honey, you don't need a leather jacket. She's like, babe, why are you yelling at me? And I'm like, because the checked bags are expensive. That's why, you know what I mean? Anyhow, the point I'm trying to make is this. Southwest had one thing going for it, and it no longer has that. And let me tell you, no one's flying Southwest because they love the color scheme, right? And this person tells us exactly, what people are going to do. They're going to move to someone else.
All I'm saying is that when Southwest Airlines goes out of business, they should absolutely name and shame whatever consulting firm told them that the way to turn around the business was to alienate their current customer base. I just got that email this morning that you all probably did, that they're getting rid of free checked bags. It's like 50% of the reason I'm going to book a Southwest flight now, because it's not really any cheaper than the other airlines at this point. But I'll still say, okay, well, if I'm flying for myself and my son, that's 2 checked bags. It's going to save me $50 on the way there. Actually, $80 on the way there, $80 on the way back. Like, that's significant change.
It's a significant change. It's a lot of money. And when it's the different, and by the way, like I said, I immediately when I search for a flight, I unclick Spirit. I will never fly with them ever again. They're a garbage airline. I like JetBlue, Delta, American. There's plenty of airlines I like. They all kind of get the job done. But if you're looking between $450 for a flight versus $480 for a flight, I don't know, maybe it's not that big of a difference. But when Southwest, they give you the extra bags, you can travel with some decency. Hey, honey, you can bring your hair blower, your hair straightener, whatever toolbox full of stuff you want to bring. We got free checked bags. Not anymore, compadre. Here's what, and by the way, want to get away? I'm sure the Southwest CEO does, but hey, he's the top dog over there, so he's got to pay the piper. He's got to tell us why it's worth it for them to do this. Let's listen to whatever corporate jargon they came up with.
The short answer is that it's about securing our future.
The short answer is it's about maximizing profits at your expense. We'll see you at Delta.
Changes to our business that will help us return to the levels of profitability we all expect and to support our collective long-term success. It's also about adapting to what our customers want. Many things have changed post-COVID. The loss of short-haul demand, a rise in premium demand, and a change in customer preferences. They're more than the logo on our planes.
A change in customer preferences. Our customers would prefer to not be ripped off. To be quite honest, this is such a bad PR move. They could have just raised the price of their flights and not, this is such, that nobody's like, yay, finally I get to pay for my luggage. So either way, not a good day for Southwest loyalists.
Our DNA isn't open seating or even bags fly free. It's a dedication to service and hospitality and to the golden rule for each other and for our customers. It's our commitment to customer service that is in a class of its own.
Let me tell you, no amount of customer service is going to make up for a couple free bags. All right, let's move it on to Sandoval. Here's Not Skinny But Not Fat, the podcast, talking to Tom Sandoval over what has been 2 years. Can you believe it's been 2 years since Sandoval? Unbelievable stuff. Here's what he has to say, where he is in life regarding 2 years since quite possibly the darkest time, in reality TV history.
It's been 2 years since Sandoval.
Yes.
I think it was like the anniversary of it a few days ago.
Happy anniversary. I have people that have dedicated.
Happy anniversary.
Hated the last 2 years, just of hating me.
Yeah. Let's talk about how traders came up. Did you think about it in this strategic way? This might help me. This won't be about that. This will be about just playing a game. Or were you just excited?
I think I was just more excited to be on the show.
Let me read you some comments on TikTok in case you are ignoring them. Hate to admit it, but when I saw them kill Sandoval, I stopped watching. I need to rewatch VPR to remember who the villain is. It's Tom, but I can't remember after this redemption arc. Then somebody said he's so damn delusional, and somebody else said we love a Delulu kink.
I'll tell you why I like Tom Sandoval. Not because he's a good guy. Not necessarily because he's a bad guy. Because he's a flawed guy. And I like watching that. Now, again, that doesn't mean I support him, in his adultery that went on. No, it was just fascinating to watch what felt real. So often reality TV, it's so scripted. I mean, you hate to say it, but there's nothing real about it. You watch The Bachelor, they jump in each other's hands, they bop in the fantasy suite. Who cares, right? But that Sandoval was raw, and we watched it, and it did some tribal stuff to us. I'm not necessarily proud of it, and it's kind of why, I'll be honest, no one's paying me to say this, but it's kind of why I like watching The Valley. I watched The Valley. I didn't know I'd become a Bravo guy, but I guess I'm a Bravo celebrity now, or a Bravo influencer. What's it called? Either way, here is the trailer for the upcoming season of The Valley. We know now that Jax Taylor has broken up with his then wife, but here is the moment he's getting served the divorce papers. Have a watch.
Hi, Mr. Kochi, you've been served.
I already told him filing, restraining order, and custody.
I'm at the point where I'm so in love with the man I want to become that I'm just not satisfied with who I am anymore.
I'll watch it. I'm in. I like watching big men cry. I don't know. What can you do? I mean, look, you can say you hate Jax Taylor, you can hate Tom Sandoval, sure. But these shows, they're interesting, and I have to say it. I'm late to the Bravo game. You guys know that. I've watched The Bachelor for a long time. Never watched Bravo until the last couple of years. I've been watching Below Deck, which, by the way, what do you say? Me and Heather McDonald and our families, should we be guests on Below Deck? If so, where should we do? Mediterranean, sailing yacht, down under? You guys let me know. Let's get Heather McDonald and a Juicy Scoop in the rush hour. We're going on the boat, baby. Get your Dramamine. We're going. My wife gets seasick. I'll hold her hair. It'll be a good one. All right. so anyhow, let's take a quick break. We're going to reset and talk about Blake Lively and the infamous New York Times article. That coming next. All right, forgive me for not knowing exactly where the source of this information came from. I'm still working through it. I've got new information from the New York Times revolving around the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni case, right? And that information is that there are 3 different versions of the subheadline of the New York Times article, the smear campaign that they said, we can bury anyone inside a Hollywood smear machine. There are 3 different versions. Now, why is this interesting? Well, some people are saying this is so sinister that they would make all these different versions and change it. Are they doing it for legal reasons? Some people that say they're journalists say, no, it's for search engine optimization. Well, we're going to kind of dive into this. Again, I found this on Blake Lively's Snark, but also Reputation 911 is a crisis PR expert, and he's got some really good opinions about this and also about why New York Times didn't give Justin Baldoni much time to respond to that smear campaign that they wrote about him. It's kind of ironic, right? They were saying, oh, he smeared Blake, but they were kind of smearing him because, as it turns out, they didn't really let him get his side of the story yet. All right, here is the update on the multiple edits. And by the way, this was found. They found the multiple edits, not because the New York Times announced it, but because they used the Wayback Machine or whatever the hell it's called, which scrubs the internet and saves previous versions of news articles and other things. It keeps the receipts, so you can't do what they call a dirty edit. Have a listen.
Hey everyone, in December, the New York Times published a now infamous article alleging a smear campaign against Blake Lively by Justin Baldoni and his PR team. In a recent video, I walked through subtle edits that were made to the subheadline of the original version of the article, where in the original it reads, "A legal complaint lays out." In the subsequently edited version, it reads, "Private messages detail." As I was reviewing the data, I realized that there are actually 3 versions of the subheadline. So the initial version reads, "A legal complaint lays out an alleged campaign to tarnish Blake Lively." The second version reads, "Private messages detail an alleged campaign to smear Blake Lively." So new word replacing tarnish. And in the third version, which is the current version that you see now when you go to the New York Times website, we have "Private messages detail an alleged campaign to tarnish Blake Lively." So in the new version, or the most recent version, the current version, they switched from smear back to tarnish.
Now, you might wonder, why is this important? And actually, some people have commented on it. The headline didn't change. It isn't uncommon at all. It's for search engine optimization and not nefarious. Super common practice. Someone said, yeah, but they changed smear to tarnish. It seems significant. The different language is for search purposes, not because they changed the story. And this is from a journalist. Now, I don't know if that's true. Words are important in journalism, especially when there's defamation on the line and when you're accusing people of stuff. So I think it's very interesting. And by the way, even if this is true, maybe it shouldn't be. Maybe it shouldn't be allowed that you can just change the way you word headlines in an article without alerting people that there's a change and do it just for search engine optimization. That doesn't necessarily feel right to me. I think curiosity that people have about the New York Times is still wondering, how deeply involved were they with Blake Lively's team to craft this story? Is it because they believed Blake Lively wholeheartedly and they were blinded to Justin Baldoni's side? What led them to spend months putting this story together and only to give hours at best to Justin Baldoni to respond? Well, here's another video from Reputation 911 explaining that it's common practice, although not a good practice, for journalists to not give a lot of time for someone to respond, lest it changes the story that they've already, curated.
Hey everyone, wanted to shed light on why the New York Times went to Justin Baldoni and his team the night before they published their article in December that alleged a smear campaign against Blake Lively by Baldoni and his camp. So what generally occurs when a publication writes a negative story, or what will ultimately be a negative story about a subject, is that they often will choose, and this is normal, they will choose to go to that subject for comment at the last possible hour.
And boy, did they wait. It was Friday night at like 8 or 10 p.m. What's the difference, right? On the West Coast, when they got in touch with Justin, when they emailed Justin Baldoni saying, we'd like for you to let us know, they asked for like the following day at noon or whatever for him to respond. And then they ended up posting the story early. So there was no shot, even if you got the email right away, that you were going to respond to this. I mean, that shouldn't be fair because, a lot of times when you'll have some damning article and then they'll say, oh, in the other side, we contacted them for comment and they did not respond. It's like, you got to give them a fair shot, right? I guess you don't.
They do this for two reasons. One, they want to check a box in saying that they actually went to the person or subject for comment. And two, they go to them late because they don't want to upset the narrative that they've worked on and written. I mean, that is clear as day. It happens every time one of these stories comes out. It's strategic.
So anyhow, we're going to be following these updates. And what I love about the internet is, pre-internet, you just would never know these things. People, they probably just got away with murder, literally, with how they could sort of not just fabricate a story, but, only tell one side of it. And the unlimited bandwidth of the internet, you got thousands of people scouring through this all to find different truths. Hey, because of you guys, I've got a trip planned to Los Angeles. I just did it last minute. I'll be there Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. If there's any podcasts you want me to go on, please let me know. Again, I'll be there for just 2.5 days, but I'll be doing some podcasts. So if there's any content creators in Los Angeles you think I should be working with, let's set it up. Hit me up in my DMs. Follow me on Instagram at dneils. Or send them a message and say, hey, Dave's in town. You got to get him on. All right, let's move over to electric car news, the electric boogaloo. Here we have, I guess, a commercial being shot at the White House with Donald Trump and Elon Musk supporting Tesla. Have a listen.
For about 36 minutes today, the South Lawn of the White House was transformed into a Tesla showroom. A live advertisement featuring the president and the man he told Congress last week headed the Department of Government Efficiency, Elon Musk. Now, this was, as the president described it, meant to be a boost to Musk and Tesla, specifically encouraging people to buy those cars. They are having sales issues right now, as you may know, and the president was wanting to help his largest donor. The event took place at the same moment financial markets were plummeting for a second day after weeks of declines, hurting investments and retirement savings. Many economists point to President Trump's tariff policies and the uncertainty around them. A much deeper route was avoided today as the White House eventually walked back Trump's early morning threat to double tomorrow's steel and aluminum tariffs on just Canada.
All right, so we'll get to Canada's response here. But look, it's interesting. I own a Tesla. I actually love my car. It's pretty. It was expensive, maybe for what you get, but there's a lot of innovation that was great with Tesla. There's also a lot of problems. They don't really have any unions. They should be union auto workers, and we should really be embracing Tesla. But I understand why we don't. I understand the political sort of reaction that people have, and those that invest in Tesla. I also understand why they're upset because the Tesla CEO is, the stock's down like 40%, it's gone down hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars, right? I heard that the Tesla stock has dipped below the total stock worth of Costco, Netflix, and several other companies combined. That's not a good thing. But what's very interesting is the president using his position of power to, I guess, peddle Tesla. I don't know. I guess this is what you get, though, when you get to that Patreon level on Trump's PR team. Once you donate $250 million, you get a free commercial on the South Lawn. Here we have Trump saying he will label violence of Tesla dealerships as domestic terrorism.
Domestic terrorists.
I will do that. I'll do it. I'm going to stop them. We catch anybody doing it because they're harming a great American company. I've stuck up for the NFL. I've stuck up for a lot of American companies and other companies, but American companies. I did a very big favor for the NFL. I do favors for all of them. When you heard an American company, especially a company like this, supplies so many jobs that others are unable to do, when you do that, those people are going to go through a big problem when we catch them.
Now, you got to be careful when you label things as like terrorism, right? That's exactly what they're doing with the political protester that they are trying to deport from Columbia University, right? He has a green card, and they're trying to deport him and say they're taking away his visa. But as a lot of people don't understand the difference, when you have a green card, you have all of the rights of a citizen. You have, well, again, maybe not all the rights, but you have First Amendment rights. It's freedom of speech. So just because someone says something you don't agree with, you can't do that. Now, I agree with Trump on the aspect that you shouldn't be committing violence. I understand that. But is that domestic terrorism? Are we going to start calling them terrorists? Are we going to send them to Guantanamo Bay? These are real questions we have to ask. And also, you got upset that people decided not to buy Tesla. You can do whatever the hell you want with your dollar. You can vote with your dollar. And just like you can vote with your time, you can decide to watch my channel and appreciate my views and my values, or you can decide you don't like what I do. You know what I mean? Like, you have that control. So don't be shamed into buying or not buying a product. Do whatever the heck you want within legal reason. All right, so coming up next, I've got a story that is so disgusting to share. Representative Sarah McBride was misgendered by a GOP colleague during the House committee hearing. To my shock, she has a very powerful voice. Stick up for her. I've got this story next. As far as the trans debate goes, because people have positions all over the map on this one, Representative Sarah McBride is a trans woman. She was elected by her district to speak for them, to be the voice, the representative for them. She's not doing anything to make her position here stand out as a trans advocate. She's just trying to do her job. The whole bathroom issue, fabricated issues by Nancy Mace, really just to make us all fight about cultural issues. They know that they can make a big stink about it. So what some of these Republican colleagues have started doing is misgendering her. And by that I mean saying Mr. Sarah McBride. Now, Sarah McBride doesn't seem to really take the bait and care too much about that. She gives a response and misgenders the person who misgenders her. But what's interesting is her male colleague who sticks up for her. Folks, this is the current world we live in. Who's going to stick up for those or stand idly by? Again, this isn't a topic about youth hormones for trans people or trans in sports. This is just somebody, an adult, who decided they weren't living or did not want to live in the body they were assigned at birth and wanted to live as a different gender. And I think at the very least, we can honor that. I think if someone wants to be known by whatever pronouns they want to be learned by, you're not compelled to do that. But with humanity and respect, can't we just call people by the pronouns they wish? Hey, maybe you make a mistake once in a while. But to do it on purpose, that is the scummiest thing I think I've seen. Have a listen.
I now recognize the representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
So she responds to Mr. McBride by saying, "Thank you, Madam Chair." Hey, good quip. All fair.
Ranking Member Keating, also wonderful.
Mr. Chairman, could you repeat your introduction again, please?
Yes, we have set the standard on the floor of the House. And I'm simply...
What is that standard, Mr. Chairman?
So this guy's irate at this point. The guy sticking up for her here. He's irate and he's going, "Please tell me, what's the standard that you're going to not accept the pronouns that they want?" And again, this has nothing to do with a pronoun issue. You can't even get past a cultural issue because a lack of dignity.
Would you repeat what you just said when you introduced a duly elected representative from the United States of America, please?
I will. The representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Mr. Chairman, you are out of order. Mr. Chairman, have you no decency? I've come to know you a little bit, but this is not decent.
We will continue this.
You will not continue it with me unless you introduce a duly elected representative the right way.
This hearing is adjourned.
And then the word I was about to say, but I shouldn't say, these crackpot here adjourns the meeting. So I like the question, have you no decency? And I think that's what it comes down to. Some people are living in a Looney Tune world here, where they think that they are going to be on this side. And again, what are they being are they being threatened? Like, hey, if you don't misgender McBride here, you're gonna we're gonna primary you. Like, in what world is this? I want to live in a world where I've got enough power as a podcaster and a voice where I can look at people who have this lack of decency, that can't call someone by their preferred pronouns. I want to look at them and say, you are not fit to represent the people, because the people have spoken. The people have spoken. There's debate about sports and underage and different issues with trans. There's a debate about that. But human rights in America in 2025 Shouldn't we all share those same values? I'm losing my mind that this exists. Let's move it on. Tariff talk. And again, you may disagree with me, but what's the big deal with it? Okay, I could go on all day. Here we have Rob Ford deciding to suspend his 25% surcharge on electricity exports to the U.S. The comment section is obliterated with people saying he caved, but he's only pausing the 25% tax until he meets with some U.S. representatives. Let's have a listen.
Well, just a little while ago, I had an opportunity to speak to Secretary Lutnick. And Secretary Lutnick has sent out an olive branch to us to come down and immediately meet with him, meet with the whole trade administration, and discuss the future. Rather than waiting till April the 2nd, threats going back and forth, tit for tat, I've agreed to suspend temporarily, and we always have that tool in our toolkit, until we sit down over the next day or two. I'll be heading down to Washington along with Dominic LeBlanc, and we'll have a good discussion.
So we'll find out how that discussion goes. And by the way, there's some videos I didn't get to here today. There's also the discussion between Ukraine and the U.S. that there is a ceasefire deal on the table. Now, hold on a second. You're saying, oh, they're going to end the war? No. This is just the Ukraine and the U.S. agreeing to a 30-day ceasefire if Russia agrees to it. Why the hell is Russia going to agree to a ceasefire? It's invading Ukraine. I wait, but I don't hold my breath. We'll cover more on that. And here we have a breaking story. The U.S. Department of Education, employees are told to vacate the building due to security reasons and take their laptops. Is this the end of the Department of Education?
Department of Education employees have been told today to vacate the building for security reasons starting at 6 p.m. this evening. That's according to a memo sent to all employees. The memo did not state what the security reason was that required employees to vacate at 6 p.m. today. The employees were told to take their laptops home with them. According to the memo, the building will reopen on Thursday. It comes as the Department of Education is already reckoning with large-scale cuts from Elon Musk. Donald Trump has also threatened to shutter the agency entirely.
All right, so they're saying it's going to be probably a 50% cut in jobs. What does this mean? I've got no idea, but we're sifting through it. That's all we can do at this moment. Thank you guys so much for enjoying this content. I know it's all over the place, from bald eagles to Tesla and everywhere in between. We'll have a lot to get into today. It's going to be a busy one. We're waiting on the judge's orders in the Blake Lively case. I'm on the edge of my seat. Will today be the day we find out if they're going to allow the infamous Taylor Swift depositions? I'll let you guys know when it comes out. All right, we'll see you then. As always, I'm Dave Neal, and this is The Rush.